The Still Loading podcast is brought to you by the wonderful people on Patreon. Amazing people like Stephen P., Kevin from the Bit by Bit Foundation, Matt aka Stormageddon, Ryan K., Mr. Biscuits, and Gilmer have all been wonderful enough to support the show over there, so if you would also like to get your name read at the beginning of an episode, along with a bunch of other goodies, go over to patreon.com/stillloadingpod and check out everything it has to offer. On this episode of Still Loading...
Hey, what are you up to, Link? I was, just gonna swing in through your daughter's window and try to get her to kiss me.
Not a chance.
No?
No. You'll need to take flowers. Then you might succeed. Yes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Still Loading podcast. I'm your host, Josh Koval, and today's episode, it's Zelda Episode 5, the episode title, Sing for the Unicorn. And joining me, as always, my co-host with the mo-host, Dexter Morrill. Dex, how are you doing today?
Oh, I am doing wonderful. It's Zelda. It's always wonderful when there's Zelda involved.
I'll be honest, though, the Zelda cartoons, I have so much fun with the Super Show episodes, and then every time we have to do a Zelda one, I'm like, oh, no.
This one was good, though. I agree, but this one was good.
Nah, I didn't like it.
It's going to be one of those episodes.
It's better than the other. So the best one so far was by far 2 months ago when we did Kiss and Tell. This one was not as good, except for the beginning. The beginning is fucking cuckoo bananas. It is insane. But the writer of this episode is Bob Forward. For some reason, I keep wanting to say Dr. Bob Forward just because it sounds correct.
Probably would appreciate that.
I know, like Dr. Bob Forward. I don't know why. It sounds like he sounds like a doctor. And directed by a guy named John Grust. Originally aired on October 6th, 1989. To put that in perspective, that is the same year I was born. So this episode is 35 years old at this point.
Oof.
Yeah, right.
I will point out that Bob Forward is the head writer on the show. I was just looking him up because I was like, I know that name, and we probably saw it on an earlier episode. But also head writer of Beast Wars Transformers, which also awesome show.
That's pretty cool then. The little Mario and Luigi live action segment that accompanied this episode is called Fred Van Winkle, which we were able to find, so we'll dive into that after we cover the Zelda episode. What I did notice, like the Wikipedia page actually updated the lists for their episodes. So we are technically doing all of our episodes in the wrong order, Dex. Technically, we should have covered the first 4 Mario Super Show episodes in a row and then did the first Zelda episode. And then we would have done another 4 Mario Super Show episodes and then did the second Zelda episode.
Yeah, because it was a Friday episode kind of thing. Every Friday was a Zelda.
So
the previous 4 were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Mm-hmm. So we're just going to kind of go through it anyway. We're going to keep our normal rhythm that we've been going at it with, which is fine. But so are you ready to dive into this one, Dex? To sing? Are you ready to sing for the unicorn, Dexter?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm singing for that unicorn.
We're
baby.
singing. The episode opens with Zelda's father, the king of Hyrule, enjoying an evening stroll in his castle. Like he's walking kind of around the ramparts of the castle, and so is Link. Link's doing the same thing, and he peers off the edge to see a beautiful Princess Zelda just resting in a chair reading a book. And he sighs, and he's like, oh, she's so pretty. And he's on the same spot as the king. And Link's like, I got a great idea. I'm going to swing into her window and get her to kiss me.
Like a normal human being.
That's exactly how you woo a woman, Dexter. Isn't that how you wooed your wife?
Absolutely, yes. That is actually what I do every morning. I swing into
And
we we sleep in different towers of a castle, and I swing
and her father encourages you to go get him, Tiger.
Yeah, what I thought was funny was that when the king catches him, and then like Link doesn't even come up with a story. He's like, "I was going to swing in there and harass your daughter," and he's like, "Oh, take some flowers first."
Well, he says specifically that won't work, and I'm thinking, okay, so this is how it's going to go, and he's like, no, you got to take some flowers first, and it's like, so now you're just encouraging a pervy action.
And then later in the episode, he doesn't even remember Link's name, which I thought was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could go have my daughter, whatever your name is.
Well, and there was a scene that I bypassed because it happens for a split second. You see Gannon come out of a portal from his area, his zone, riding a unicorn and a bunch of what are the bats called again?
I thought that they were keys at first too, but I think they are vials or vires, depending on the translation. I would imagine it's vial, and that it was kind of translated to vire. But those, when you attack them, burst unless you've got the magic sword. They burst into keys, so they're kind of like the big version of keys. But yes, that it's totally epic. And if anyone still makes like anime music videos, they need to take the footage from Ganon flying the unicorn, or at least paint it on the side of a van.
So looking at the scene now, I think you're right. They are not keys; they are vile. For some reason, I can never remember the name of those stupid bats. They're keys. Like I've played Zelda a bunch, but I can just never remember the name. So the vials are not viral. That would be weird. The vials and Ganon come and try to kidnap the king, and Link takes out a few of them with his laser blast from his sword, and then the vials. They capture, they hold Link up, and meanwhile, the King of Hyrule is now tied up with rope and is sitting on the back of the unicorn that Ganon is riding.
Did we talk about how he got back to actually to try to save?
No. Do you want to go into that?
I was like, I can't believe this is working, but it's actually really epic because, as we mentioned, he swung down to Zelda's room. So when the king is being kidnapped by the unicorn, with Gannon on top, of course, he has to get back up to that balcony. And so he rips the door off, if I remember correctly, throws it into the window, and then throws a trunk on one end of it, and then uses it as a diving board. Like it weighs down the door, and then he uses it as a diving board to launch himself back up.
This boy is strong enough to rip a door off its hinges, but he can't stop Ganon. I'm sorry. I feel like you could just rip Ganon's arms off with that type of power.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The leg strength too, to launch himself that high.
Oh my Lord. Something else that I forgot to mention though, but when Link does barge in on Zelda with the flowers, he asks Zelda to kiss him, and she goes, "Oh, you brought me flowers. Why not?" I'm like, "That's it? That's all it takes? You just gotta buy her some flowers. She's easy. Holy shit!" Like,
at least the king knows his daughter, I guess.
I don't know if that's a good thing though. Like, here, Link, to get to her heart or other places, all you have to do is buy her flowers.
And it's like 3 little pink flowers too.
That he just ripped from the garden right to the side there too. It's not even like it was very intentional.
Yes, and I think this is probably a good part to point out that the acting choice on the king, that whole acting performance, I imagine something from him will be what was used to start this episode. But his delivery on some of these things are very strange. I just wrote at one point in my notes, the king is a dope.
Oh, he absolutely is. when he's getting kidnapped and Link is trying to save him, Link jumps onto the back and hangs onto the tail of the unicorn, and Ganon like zaps him. And what I wrote down what the king said. Even he said something like, "Where is it at?" The king just calls Ganon rude. He's like, "That's very rude."
Yeah.
And then Link falls, catches two of those vials, and is holding onto their feet, and they're holding him up. Then Ganon takes out those two vials, which causes Link to fall again. And the king goes, "That is very impolite."
Yeah, and that was pretty spot on with the delivery too. Like, if I don't know, like I know it's for comedic effect, but like the delivery and the voice he uses for the king is pretty hilarious.
It's pretty fantastic. I love it a lot. And Zelda does catch Link though in a wagon filled with hay, and it explodes all over the place. And Link, being the knowing the perfect timing, the ever convenient lover, goes, "Kiss me." And she's like, "What are you doing? My dad's kidnapped." Like, she's justifiably, she's like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, I know. I was just trying." I'm like, "What do you mean you were trying? Your dad just got kidnapped and you fell like 200 feet, and you're like, just kiss me." That's all he cares about. This fucking guy.
Zelda was clutch with that hay, that cart of hay though, like, because
she's clutch in this episode, man. She saves Link a number of times.
Yeah, because because I know you mentioned that he grabs onto those vials on their legs. And first of all, I wrote those guys are strong to like, because he was in a full free fall and grabbed their legs, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll carry this." And they're like half Link size, I should say. They're not that big. And doesn't Ganon zap them himself so that he can't hold on?
Yep, that's when the king goes, "It's very impolite."
Yeah. But yeah, Zelda comes through with the save on that one. And, "Are you okay? Kiss me," is Link's response.
Son of a bitch. I hate Link so much in this show.
Yeah, such a strange.
Zelda then is confused as to where Ganon got a unicorn, because Ganon, he's evil and unicorns are beautiful and magical. There's no way Ganon would just have a unicorn. And so then it cuts to Ganon next to his evil jar, and he basically has his evil villain rant talking about now that he's captured the king, or no, now that he has a unicorn, and he also has the king as a prisoner. He just yells, "Hyrule will be all mine!" Just like loses his mind.
Did you hear where Ganon took, like, the room that he took the king into?
I don't think we quite got to that just yet. That's the room where basically, like, the floor, like, there's a hole in the floor and it's consistently expanding, and eventually, like, the king has an hour to live. Zelda has to get to him within an hour, otherwise he will fall through and die.
I just thought it was funny because he was like, "Take him to the pit room," and I was like, "What? Is it a pit or is it a room?" I was so confused. I wrote that down. I was like, "The pit room?" But I guess it's
a room for pits.
It's a room that turns into a pit. But I was just like, "The pit room? What?"
The pit room. Oh my god, that makes me laugh. Actually, that's really funny.
but Ganon does, like, he's got a great performance in this episode, because he does his creepy growl a couple times, and that's one of them when he's like, "You'll be falling for a long time," and like he switches back to his Skeletor, but starts out with like the creepy growl.
I think what is so wonderful about Ganon in this show is all of his names are very direct. What's this? Oh, it's the evil jar. I wonder what that could be. What's that? That's the pit room. It's a room for a pit. What else do you think it could be? You fucking you don't even need to use your imagination. I put it right on Front Street. I'm goddamn Ganon, you piece of shit.
Now I'm gonna fly away on this unicorn.
Why do you think it's called a unicorn? Because it's got one horn, you dumb son of a bitch. That just Ganon insulting people. Do you think I try to hide my evilness? No, I call it a goddamn evil jar. Get the fuck out of here. Or sorry, I call it an evil jar, you stupid son of a bitch.
Spot on.
I love it. So this, when he does take the king into the pit room and he tells him, Zelda has an hour to turn over the entire kingdom of Hyrule and the Triforce in 1 hour. That's it. That's all she gets. You have to turn over the entire kingdom in an hour. But they're going to Ganon's lair and they're walking past these like giant statues.
Yeah, the
And
Armos, baby.
Yep, they're the giant Armos, and Link tells Zelda, "Don't touch the statues, don't touch them." And she goes, "What?" And
You mean like this?
and they get into a giant fight with the Armos, and this fight here is the second time that Zelda actually saves Link, and she does so by basically what happens is she knocks into an Armos, and Link goes to try to save her. It like kind of pushes him away and knocks him into another Armos, which awakens that Armos.
Yeah.
And it just kind of starts a chain reaction.
And then she just absentmindedly touches a third one. I was like, come on, Zelda.
Like, you should know better at this point.
Yeah.
And then you're fighting all three. And Link is trying to do his best, but he gets the sword knocked out of his hands. And so then he tries to actually kick the Armos, and he just goes, "Ow, my toes!" And
Calls
that's
him
just
a marble head, I think.
marble. Yep. Zelda ends up taking out the monster. The Armos, holding Link with the bow. She breaks out her bow and arrow for this, and takes out the Armos. And then Link gets his sword back, and he takes out the two that end up grabbing Zelda after she saves him. And once again, she's about to kiss him after this heroic thing that he just did. And then a trapdoor opens and they fall through, and they have to fight a bunch of Stalfos. And this is like a big theme of this episode. Like Link is finally going to get his kiss that he's been craving for however long, and he's finally about to get it. And something always comes up. The first is her dad gets kidnapped. The second, he's just an idiot and tries to kiss her after her dad gets kidnapped while he's lying in a pile of hay. In this one, it's right after a fight, and she's into it. She's like, "All right, sure." And then the trap door opens, and they fight. They have to fight Stalfos, which
this was awesome visually as well. Like the riding on the unicorn with the army of vials was awesome. And now this is fighting Stalfos inside of a giant rib cage, which I thought was pretty epic.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that it wasn't a giant ribcage. That is pretty cool.
And I feel like Zelda didn't really do anything like that until like Breath of the Wild, like fighting inside the giant skulls and things like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure someone will correct me, but
it's been. I mean, I feel like something in Wind Waker would have had that, but
that's true.
Also, if you count Dodongo's Cavern, you have in Ocarina of Time, you put bombs in his eyes, and then
or I guess going inside Jabu Jabu too.
Yep. So this scene, though, I thought was weird because Link needs help, and he's like, "Zelda, can't you help?" She's like, "I lost my bow." I'm like, "Fucking how? You made it magically appear beforehand. How did it just disappear? Where did it go? Why?" Like, there's no... later on in the episode, she gets a boomerang out of nowhere.
Aren't they? But they're tiny and shrunken.
Yeah, but like, how do you lose something that is literally just like, it's not even like it's an actual bow. Her bow is made up of like light and magic. You don't see like a bow and a string. It's all like shiny and pretty. Like, it seems to me like she can just manifest a bow out of like thin air with her magic.
I think she lost it in a plot hole, is what.
There you go. In the plot hole room.
Yeah.
Over here, Link and Zelda, you will get lost in the plot hole room.
Take them to the plot hole room.
A room you never knew existed, which is apropos for its title.
Would you like something from this drink cup?
Gannon.
Go ahead, fill up your food plate. Before we go to the music concert.
I just love this idea that Gannon has to name everything very matter-of-factly. Look at this binary computer I have. It's either on or off. Or I just love it so much. I have my evil jar, and you have the corresponding good jar. Now give it to me. Oh
Oh
my!
man, now I need to know what the good jar looks like.
I know, right? Is there a good jar? I mean, there has to be. There has to be light and darkness, so you have to have good and evil.
Yeah,
So there, if Ganon has an evil jar, why doesn't Link and Zelda have a good jar?
yeah,
Where
seriously.
all their friends, like every time the king gets killed, he just ends up back in the good jar.
Yeah. Or it's just full of like lemonade.
That's it. This is my lemonade cup, and this is my iced tea cup, and then this is my Arnold Palmer cup.
For special occasions.
Oh my gosh, Ganon has everything like labeled with sticky notes.
Yeah. Don't wake me. I'm going to my sleeping bed.
I want this so bad. I want this to be a thing. Oh my god. Oh, it's great. So they do fight the Stalfos, and they are actually rescued instead. Since Zelda lost her bow, uh, they end up getting rescued by this ninja looking person who happens to be this beautiful lady who I think her name is Sin. Is that what they said her name is?
Sing. I think like the title.
Sing. Oh, that makes so much more fucking sense. I couldn't hear the G at the end of it. I just heard Sin. I'm like, that's an odd name for, like, especially when they were so nervous about like religious people watching this and stuff.
Yeah, Sing is there for the unicorn. Hence the title, Sing for the Unicorn.
That makes a lot more sense. Sing for the unicorn, yes. And so she is there to help them, and it's like basically she's there because the unicorn that Ganon is riding is her unicorn, and she wants to get it back, kind of understandably so.
I do want to point out that she doesn't speak English.
She doesn't. You never hear her speak at all.
No, she speaks once in this weird, like, high-pitched voice.
Oh, I guess she does. Yeah.
She's got like a weird high-pitched gobbledygook voice, and I was like, that's a choice right there. They could have just made her speak the gobbledygook, but they also they pitched it up for some reason.
That is very odd. I didn't even think. Yeah, like,
and I guess somehow they're like, she wants her unicorn back. Like, okay, I guess we figured that out.
It's an odd choice to say the least. And her character is odd because like I understand her motivations, but in the very next scene, Link is fighting some more enemies. I guess it's some more Armos, and no one's helping him. Oh no, sorry, he's fighting like Dark Nuts, I guess, or something like that. And no one's helping him.
Lionels,
thank you. God damn it, that's what it was. Lionels. I couldn't think. I even was looking up. I'm like, I know what these are, and then I couldn't remember the name, and I for some reason I stuck with Dark Nuts instead of what they actually are. So yes, Lionels,
which are like canon. Everybody knows Lionels are like the most difficult, like average Ganon baddies. He's taking them on two, I think, at the same time, right?
Well, I think what bothers me though is that Sing can fight. She has magic powers. Yeah. Like she can shoot stuff out of her the weapons on her hands.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Link's like, nah, fam, I got this. Like, not even allowing it honestly felt like Link just didn't want anyone to help him. It was just very odd to me.
Yeah.
The whole thing was just super, super strange because so no one helps him. He is able to beat them. I just didn't understand why she wasn't fighting. But after Link does defeat them, they drop a whistle, which comes in later on. And they end up fighting some moblins, and that's when Sing finally rescues her unicorn. But she does actually help with this fight. So I guess she just didn't want to fight Lionels. Like it just felt odd to me because they posit her as this like badass who's like awesome, and then they don't have her do anything for the first bit, like the first bit of conflict after that. It's very odd.
Yeah, no, it is. And when they, yeah, because he gets the magic. Yeah, I don't know. And like Link has to catch up to them. Like they run ahead, and maybe that's why. Maybe he was like, "I'll take these guys. You guys go on ahead."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. No, because they're standing behind him, like
just watching them do it. It's very odd. They do fight the moblins. Sing rescues the unicorn, as she does help with the fight. And my favorite. This might be the thumbnail, Dexter. One of the I guess it's another Armos because it looks like the same model as what it was before. Comes to them like walking down a hallway with a bomb, but he's carrying it like a waiter holding like a food delivery for a table.
Yeah. No, I
And
love this.
and he's just walking, and all it does is all of a sudden Zelda gets a boomerang out of fucking nowhere and hits the bomb off his hand, and it conveniently drops directly below him, blowing up the Armos, and even more conveniently, it's directly above the king's room, the pit room.
Yeah, I thought that too, because this was the first time, or this was not the first time a bomb was used, because Link used a bomb to get out of the rib cage room that they were fighting in before. And I remember thinking, like, oh, that's kind of like the game where sometimes you have to find a wall to bomb to get out. And then this one where the bomb explodes and then they're like, oh, the king's down here. And I was like, that was way too convenient.
Extremely convenient. Honestly, I'm not surprised because it is, that's kind of the MO for this show, just to do something like that. After the bomb blows up though, and they see that Zelda is trying to rescue the king, and obviously they can't quite reach him just yet. Link is fighting Ganon, and Ganon shoots out the bridge that they're fighting on a bridge, and Ganon shoots out what? Sorry,
like a rope bridge.
Yeah, like very Indiana Jones-esque, right?
Yeah,
and they shoots out the bridge. He holds on, and he's kind of like at a loss for a little bit, and that's when Zelda actually saves Link from Ganon with her boomerang again. Once again, why did she not use that sooner? If she had the boomerang the whole time, why didn't she use it during the Stalfos fight? But okay, doesn't.
And not only that, but like, really, a boomerang to kill Ganon?
That's
like,
all it takes, right in the back.
They typically in the game, all they do is stun enemies. So, like, it made sense when she used it to knock the bomb out of the Armos' hand, but then to just flat out kill Ganon with it, I was like, what?
I mean, to be fair, it doesn't actually kill him. It just sends him back to his evil jar.
True. And then when she runs back to save her father from the pit room, for some reason the delivery of the king when he's like goodbye, he thinks he's gonna fall.
The king's voice is just so funny to me.
Yeah.
But who actually ends up sorry, what?
The unicorn ends up saving him. That's right.
Yes. Sing saves the king with the unicorn, and everyone is rescued. The end. It ends very abruptly. It extremely abruptly.
And, like, the thing that upset me is, like, they never explain, like, where. Well, he uses the magic whistle here, Link uses the magic whistle hanging from the bridge to use the tornado to take them all back to the castle, which is what it's used for in the game. It transports you. And it even does the do 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 do, that little jingle when it comes. And he asks Zelda for a kiss from inside the tornado. She's like, "No, I'm dizzy."
Yeah, I forgot they did I forgot about the whistle thing. I pointed out that they pick it up, but yeah, they do the whistle thing. Just because, are whistles even in the first game? I forget.
Yes, that's how you can use it to go to all of the
dungeons
that you've been to. Yeah, so if you play it, it'll take you to the next dungeon kind of thing in numerical order, I believe it is.
Oh, that's very handy. Maybe I tried to play the original Zelda, and I got pretty far into it. I was playing like weekly with my buddy Justin, and I just never got around to finishing it. Maybe I should really get around to finishing that sometime soon.
It gets pretty hard.
It does. I mean, I think we got 6 out of the 8 temples done.
Yeah.
Because there's 8, right?
That's about what I'm able to do before I might need a walkthrough or, something, or start farming some rupees and get a blue ring and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe I'll get around to do it. I was talking to my buddy Ryan Kern, who's been a guest on the show a few times. He does a thing where he picks a series and at the beginning of each year and tries to play through as many of the games of that series. And he did Zelda somewhat recently, so or
Nice.
maybe he's doing it this year, or he did it last year. I think it was last year, but I think it's a cool idea. I like that idea a lot. Now it's making me want to play Zelda. I have not done a Zelda game in quite some time. I should get on that.
Yeah.
But that's the end of the first part of the episode, and everyone's rescued. Yay, that's the end of the Zelda thing. But we do have one more thing to talk about, Dexter, and that is the live action Mario Super Show segment called Fred Van Winkle. Fred Van Winkle is an interesting one. These little mini live action segments in conjunction with the Zelda cartoon are so bonkers to me, because it's like at least a lot of the other ones feel somehow connected to what's happening in the Mario cartoon, even though I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever. Maybe they're not. Maybe that's just all perception. I actually, now that I'm thinking back on it, do any of the live action segments have any connection with the Mario cartoons?
Not really. Not really. They're all just kind of silly. So I feel like they, maybe in some of the earlier ones, thematically, they tried to keep them where there's like a similar kind of lesson, but I feel like they dropped that pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Well, in this one, they're trying to fix like their boiler or heater or whatever it is, their furnace. And Mario's nervous because the thing keeps like wiggling around and he doesn't want Luigi to get hurt. He's like, and Luigi's like, no, it's okay. I got it. You see, I have it down to a rhythm. And every little bit, like the gauge will like pop off and Luigi has to dodge it, and then it comes right back. Even though the pressure gauge isn't attached directly to the furnace, it's attached to like a pulley arm or something like that. Like,
Yeah, I love this set. It's like there's got to be someone inside of it, right? Like it's very
absolutely.
stretchy and cartoony and yeah, very Pee Wee's Playhouse.
I want someone to recreate this set brick for brick at some point. that like, if I had the money, dude, I would absolutely do that. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. If money was not an issue and I didn't have to provide for my family or live or anything, I would recreate this set as accurately as I possibly could.
They should do it at Nintendo Land at one of the theme parks.
Honestly, I feel like it's funny. I feel like you totally could do this, and like people would. It's kind of like what there's what is it? There's like what is it? There's like a Nintendo museum in like France or whatever that had like a recreation of Nintendo's like original headquarters or something like that. Maybe it's not in France, but there's like a something that's not in Japan that's a recreation of Nintendo's like original headquarters in like a small house.
That's cool.
And I wonder if you could do that with this, like the Mario Super Show house type of thing.
Yeah, and I want to say they did something like that. I can't remember if it was Home Alone or if it was A Christmas Story, but someone bought the house that they filmed for the outside, but the inside is completely different. Like it's from a set kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I want to say someone bought the house that they used for the outside shots and actually remodeled it on the inside to look like the movie.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So they're trying to fix their boiler or heater or whatever it is, and all of a sudden the guy, like, you know, the boiler heater is making some goofy noises and it sounds like farts. And all of a sudden you hear off camera like "excuse you" or like "bless you" or something like that. And this dude with the fakest beard I've ever seen in my life and the fakest like old man wig I've ever seen in my life comes walking out, and you find out it's Fred Van Winkle, you know, based off of the fairy tale or like the Brothers Grimm tale. What is it, Rip Van Winkle, right?
Yes, yeah.
The man who falls asleep after I forget the whole story of it.
Yeah, he takes a nap in the woods after bowling with like forest elves, I believe is the story. And he falls asleep and then doesn't wake up for like 70 years or something like that.
I'm glad I double checked this. Rip Van Winkle was actually written by oh my god, Washington Irving.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, Rip Van Winkle, a Dutch American man with a habit of avoiding useful work, lives in a village on the foot of the Catskill Mountains in the years before the American Revolution. One day, he goes squirrel hunting in the mountains with his dog, Wolf, to escape his wife's nagging. As evening falls, he hears a voice calling his name and finds a man dressed in old-fashioned Dutch clothing and carrying a keg. I don't know if I want. This is all from Wikipedia. I don't know if I want to keep reading the whole thing, but he ends up drinking the thing and he falls asleep for however many years,
I
20 years.
He drank it while he was with the little elves, but maybe it's just different interpretations.
So it's the same idea with this one, but his name is Fred Van Winkle. And hold on, I actually wrote down the actor who played him. It's
Yes.
Norman Fell.
Yes. And he said he uses a bunch of like old 20s, 30s jargon.
Daddy-o and stuff like that.
Let's go do the Charleston with a couple of dames or whatever.
Oh, it made me laugh. The first thing
he
he says is that it's the very first line. He's like, he shows up and he goes, "Once I find a razor to shave, they can get out of there and find some hot tamales and do the Charleston with them."
Yes, that's what it was. And the thing that I found funny was that Mario and Luigi are more worried about like, what's he talking about? And not the fact that he's there in their in their building.
Well, they always have people showing up out of the blue in their house all the time throughout the show.
Not
So
even
I
through
think
the
they're
front
just
door or anything.
Yeah, they don't even care about that. They're just used. I mean, the first episode, dude, they had that one girl just living in their medicine cabinet.
Oh, that's right.
You know, like they're used to that. Nicole Egerton, I think, was the actress who was. They find out that that Fred has been asleep for a long time, so they start trying to show him modern technology. And they start off with a computer. Apparently, Fred fell asleep in 1929, and he. I like the joke. A good year if you like depressions, but the scene cuts and they're showing Fred computers and indoor plumbing, and they're walking around, and then Fred sees Mario playing with an Etch-a-Sketch, and then he finds a Slinky, and Mario is just telling jokes about it, going, Fred's like, "What's this?" And Mario goes, "Oh, that's a thing to talk to the aliens." And then Fred believes him and starts trying to pretend to talk to the aliens.
Slinky.
Yeah, through the Slinky. And at first I was curious. I'm like, when was the Slinky invented? Like, is this like a little continuity error? It's not. It was invented in 1943. So I looked it up. I was curious. I'm like, I feel like the Slinky could have been invented before 1929 and Fred would have known it. But,
yes.
You know, but
that's true. Yes. Luigi also showed him an NES too, told him that video games were a thing.
Yes. Like that is like, don't get me wrong. I do love me some video games, but it's just funny to me that it's like the first thing that he described, that one of the first things he's like, yeah, let's show him this.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Video games? Yeah, it's not plugged up to anything. It's just on a pedestal.
Fred, as Luigi is kind of chastising Mario for telling jokes, and Fred will believe because he's going to take everything literally. Fred gets his beard stuck in a vacuum.
Yes.
As you do.
Yes.
And then this is, I think, my favorite scene in the entire episode, both of Zelda and of this. When Mario dresses Fred up as Mario.
Yes, and he was asking if the shirt was modern art.
This shirt has a lot of modern art on it. What do you call this design?
Yeah. He's like, that's a meatball stain.
I actually wrote it all down. We call that pizza sauce, and then Fred will be like, and what about this? We call that meatball stain. What about this? We call that mustard. And he goes, I don't know if I should wear this shirt or eat it.
Yeah. Yes.
And then they decide we're going to show him New York City. And that overwhelms Fred. There's too much talk of modern life. He doesn't like it. And he says, I'm just going to go back to sleep. Wake me up in 1997. And Mario and Luigi stand there puzzled. I'm like, why are you puzzled? The dude just wants to go back. And then all of a sudden they're like, that's 8 years. They're like, we got to get Mario's clothes back. I got to get my shirt back. And then that's the end of the short.
Yes. I did some research on Norman Fell, our Fred Van Winkle. He was born in 1924, which means he would have been 5 in
What?
1929. And he passed away in 1998. So a year after they woke him up.
Wow, that's kind of eerie.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it's not that eerie, but it is a little crazy.
Yeah. So I thought that was
I wonder
funny.
what else
and he's known for being, I looked at his IMDb, and he's done plenty of like episodes here and there, a couple of movies here and there, but most well known as Mr. Roper from Three's Company.
Oh, okay.
And so most of his cameos in TV shows was as a landlord or as Mr. Roper. So
Okay.
this was kind of his breaking from his typecast a little bit.
Oh, there you go. Oh, wow. He looks so different in the Super Show than he does in real life. Oh, wow. He was born in Philadelphia, my neck of the woods.
Ah.
A lot of cool people from Philadelphia. Anyway, so that's the end of this of the Zelda episode 5, and also the Fred Van Winkle short. And that's the end of this episode in general. So Dexter, I want to throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on what we've talked about today? What did you think of Zelda episode 5 and Fred Van Winkle?
I actually really liked this. This is one of the better episodes in a while for Zelda for me. And honestly, I feel like if I wanted to introduce someone to Zelda, this might be one of the first ones I show them.
Really?
As far as for this show, like, oh, is the animated series any good? I go, well, this is because there's so many great authentic references from the villains to the whistle and the different kinds of weapons, and there's lots of little nods to the game that are pretty authentic. The only thing is Sing herself is like they don't really explain her or where she's from or anything because she's not from the games at all. That's the only kind of confusing part, but the action is really cool. The visuals are really cool. Like I said, the Gannon on the unicorn might as well be the album or like the album cover for like some metal band. Fighting the Stalfos in the rib cage was just really great visually. Just, I don't know. Maybe watch it on mute because some of the performances are awkward, but with the king and Sing's voice and everything. But visually, I was really entertained. I really enjoyed a lot of the nods to the game. I don't think it's my favorite episode, but like I said, as being representative of the show, I actually thought it was pretty good. And Gannon was pretty good in it too.
I think you bring up some good points. I think what really it's boiled down to me that I found with the Zelda cartoon, because now we're getting close to the halfway point. There's 13 episodes total. We're already on episode 5. So we're getting to the halfway point of the Zelda show. And honestly, what it really does for me is like what I'm really realizing is this show just bores me. Like it, like I find so little enjoyment in it. There's like the moments that are just so outlandish, like the beginning with Link getting permission from the king to swing into Zelda's room and ask for a kiss. Like that's just so insane that it's amusing. But like, other than that, other than Link being a total perv and not a good person, and even that's not enough for me to enjoy the show. It's just the most amusing part about it, just because, like I said, it's so ridiculous. There's not much for me in this show. Like the plots happen so quickly. They either feel like they drag, like this episode felt like a really well paced one, like it went through pretty quick, but there's been other episodes we've covered where I feel like, oh my God, why is this still going on?
Yeah. No, I agree. The plot itself is pretty basic and pretty predictable and all that. I guess I was struck by even I made in my notes when Ganon was talking to the king while he was in the pit room, he was standing sideways on the wall, kind of like Spider-Man kind of thing. And they didn't have to do that. It was kind of a nice visual flourish, like some nice fun stuff. I don't know. I really the giant Armos and I don't know. Visually, I was entertained. Like I said, if you had it on mute, I would also be kind of entertained. And but yeah, I guess when you put it that way, the story and the plot and stuff is very until Sing shows up, and that was like, what's going on here? That was the only part that was kind of unpredictable, but otherwise, like, I guess visually, like I said, was the high point for me. But I am also an artist, so that might be why.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with enjoying it for those reasons. Like, the visuals did look nice in this episode, and the designs were better than some of the other ones. I'll give it that. I don't know this. I just don't think this show does it for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, I guess, I mean, that kind of gives my final thoughts. I found more enjoyment out of the Fred Van Winkle section than I did the Zelda cartoon. I think it's going to be a theme probably for the rest of it, because the next Zelda episode is that sinking feeling, and the next live action Mario segment is Tutti Frutti Oh Mario.
What a great title.
Tutti Frutti Oh Mario. I cannot wait to see what that is. So we'll get into that one in I guess 2 months. Actually, this is January's episode. The Mario Super Show will be February's episode, which means Mario month will be March. So the next Zelda one won't be out till April.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's gonna be 3 months away. So we'll have to wait a little bit, but that will do it for this episode of Still Loading. As usual, thank you all for listening. And Dexter, of course, thank you for joining me. But Dexter, as always, where can the good people find you online, and what would you like to promote?
You can find me online. Just type in my name, DexterMorrill. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all that stuff. I haven't been sharing a whole lot lately, but I usually try to share, video game history stuff, artwork stuff. And if you want to check out any of kind of what I'm doing outside of my day job, I am the cover artist for Old School Gamer magazine, so you can check that out. Other than that, come hit me up. We'll talk about what you thought of this Zelda episode.
Maybe y'all will like it more than I did. But so as usual for me, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky at Still Loading Pod. My Twitter is still there, but it's locked. So if you feel like following a locked Twitter account at Still Loading Pod, I also stream on Twitch 2 days a week, usually Tuesday nights and Tuesday and Saturday nights at Still Loading Pod over on Twitch. Tuesday nights start off with a stream over at my buddy Andrew's at the Experience Point at the EXP, and that's around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do a little talk show called Talk Tuesdays, and then I stream on my channel afterwards. And then Saturdays I stream around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel at Still Loading Pod, and you can see what games I'm playing for the show and watch me fail at a few. So that's always a good time. If you want to support the show, if you like what you hear and you want to help support it and help the show grow, you can do so in a few different ways. Easiest way for you all is just giving it a 5-star rating and review. That really does help people find the show. It's nice to read some kind words every now and then as well. I never mind that, but it does help more people find the show. It helps the algorithm and all that other shenanigans. So that genuinely would mean a lot. If you really like it and you want to get some extra stuff, extra bonus content, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/stillloadingpod. And for as little as $1 a month, you get all the episodes a little bit earlier with better audio quality, along with patron voting rights, which helps guide the direction of the show. I do quarterly polls where I put 4 games up, and the patrons will choose a game for me to cover. And I also do an annual backlog month poll, which by the time this comes out will be over, but that happens at the beginning of every year, where 16 games get put up there, and the 4 games with the most votes gets chosen, and I will cover them in October of that year. So 4 games at the time we're recording this, that poll is not over, but 4 games, by the time this comes out, 4 games will be chosen, and I will be working my way through them for episodes in October this year. And so that's all over for the $1 level. For $3 a month, you get everything I mentioned prior, the early access, the voting rights, all that good stuff, plus patron shout-outs, which you heard at the beginning of this episode. For $4 a month, you get everything I mentioned prior, plus 2 mini bonus episodes. And for $5 a month, you get everything, all the stuff I mentioned previously, plus access to my monthly movie podcast, which at the time this comes out is called Still Family, my monthly Fast and Furious movie podcast, where all the guests who join me aren't just friends, their family. So if you would if you're interested in any of that, just wanting to check that all out. And also, side note, at the $5 level right now, it's Fast and Furious, but I did all of the James Bond movies as well, all 25 James Bond movies, and I'm planning on coming back for Still Bonding to do an episode on some of like the non-canon films, like Never Say Never Again or the Woody Allen Casino Royale. That might make a comeback after Still Family. We'll see. So that's all over at patreon.com/StillLoadingPod. But that's everything I have for you today. That's all the time I got. Thank you all so much for listening. Dex, as usual, thank you once again for joining me, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And with all that said, listeners, excuse me, princess.